Analyzing and debugging code. We're going to look at some examples of how to analyze and debug code. So I'm in a project, a very simple project right here, and here's my code. I've opened up the viewcontroller.m file, and I'm going to create an object of a string type, ns string, and I'm going to call it my string, and I'm going to initialize it, at least try to, and cause some errors. ns string alloc init. Now what you're going to see, I've mistyped some things in here. See, as soon as we see some red error indicators over here, and also in the issue analyzer you will see them right there. If I click over there, it'll bring it up right here. There's something's wrong here. Sometimes they can be deceptive. So there's one over here too. If I click here, it says it expects a semicolon. As I do that, it's still there. I click on it again. It doesn't know what to do because I have made too many errors. Basically, there should be a right bracket there. As I typed it, it balanced it with a left bracket. It still has a yellow exclamation point right now, and it's going to say that if I click on it, unused local variable my string. That's not an error, it's a warning. Now I'm going to misspell this one right here, and it's going to underline it. And if I click right there, it says that you have unknown receiver ns string with a capital T. Did you mean ns T with a lowercase t? I'm close enough, so it can make a guess right now. So I can click here, and it'll replace it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make even bigger mistake. I'm gonna lowercase them. Now it's totally confused. It's not gonna make any suggestions other than use of undeclared identifier. I'm too far off. If I go capital NS, you see lowercase, uppercase makes a difference. Now I'm close enough so it can guess for me what to do. So the other thing is that these were syntax errors, logic errors, and memory allocation errors. Under products there is analyze, and you see right away it popped up all kind of errors in the issue viewer, and also in here. This is very nice actually. If you have more logic errors, it'll draw arrows. Memory allocation errors, it'll draw arrows, say hey, you defined it, and an arrow here you are, you should be deallocating it. So this is very good. So that's the static code analyzer. Now let's get started with debugging. I am going to comment this out, and I'm gonna show you run this program as it is and see what it'll do. There's a button, I click on it, and it prints hello 4 or 5 times in a loop. You see there's a for loop here, goes 5 times. From 0 less than 5 it prints hello. I'm gonna put a breakpoint right there, and the way you do that is you just click here. You see it's dark blue, click it once more, light blue, dark blue is enabled, and I'm gonna go back in here, run this. When you click on it, the code will stop right there. So that's how I initiate a breakpoint. and I can now have many options right there. I can just continue with the program execution. I can step over. I can step into. If this was a call to a method, it'll step into that method, into that class, in another class, if it is another one. Or I could use say step out of it, just so these are different options in debugger. Now let's look at how to use the console. You've already seen it here, right here. I can print messages out there. The way I did that was there are several different kind of messages going on over here. You'll see system messages and you will see custom messages. Using nslog you can print custom messages right there. Nslog and right paren, left paren, right paren, left double quote, right double quote, and @, and then within it are strings. So that's a customary in Objective-C. Now let's look at another example of other variation of nslog. I want to print an object. So what can I do? You just say put an @ there, and it could be your any object right there. If you have defined an object, my object, you can put it here. It'll dump that whole object out. I don't have any object right now. Let's see if there was a my string, my string. Data argument not used by format string. Because it's just a string. If you have an object, like you have a class and you have an instance of that class with its first name, last name, it'll spit it all out in your console right there. In the documentation you will find there are different options. For example, the I means an integer. So if you have defined an integer, int my int is equal to 1, you can type mint. That'll print the integer value right there. Data argument not used by format string. That's just a warning. Let's look at another thing. I'm going to enable the breakpoint. Run this. Click here. Step over. Step over. I am right in there. So I'm going to stop it. Run it again. I'm going to get rid of this code. Run it again. I want to stop right in there at my breakpoint. Thread 1, breakpoint 1. It's confused. Okay. Now here's an important lesson. As I was doing that, I set a breakpoint, then I added a line. It got all confused. It got all confused about where the breakpoints are. So that's a very important point. So I had to delete everything, create a new breakpoint. Now it's confused about where the other two breakpoints are. If you look over here, breakpoints, well, okay, right now it's stopped. So what I was showing you was that if I stop over here, I hover over, I can see the variable. I double click it, I can actually change its value. So if I was to step over at this point, I'm in there second time, the value of the counter is 1. I can actually, it's live, I can change that back to counter 0, 1. So you can change variables while you are debugging it. Okay, I'm going to stop this navigator. I'm gonna go in here, breakpoints, and it'll also show you all the breakpoints in your whole project right here by clicking there. And you can either enable them all or disable them. You see, it toggles them. All of them are disabled back to where it was. One of them was enabled, the other two were disabled. So this and this cutter they call goes hand in hand in setting breakpoints. A little bit more information about breakpoints. Here you can see all the breakpoints. Right click any breakpoint and delete. It'll delete that one. Right click the project, delete breakpoints, plural. It'll get rid of all of them. Set a breakpoint again. Right click it, edit breakpoints. Now you can set a conditional breakpoint. For example, when the counter reaches the value of 3, then stop. And also, other things like how many times to ignore, some other options as well. Done, and I'm gonna run this program. I'm gonna click it, it stops, and the value of counter at this point is 3. There, so now here you see there's another view right here. Counter all the variables in this context that are available. Here you can also say, view value of, and add an expression and things like that. Now the other thing I want to point out is that this debugger is also a command line debugger. For example, you can type commands over here, help, and one of them was version. This is the version of it. So nobody knows all these commands from heart, but some options, if you can find it in the interactive debugger and you want to get more advanced, you can do that here.